Hi there, this is Rick, and in today's episode I'm going to be talking about preparedness equipment. Now, I've done this video under the assumption that you will be staying at home. If you've got to actually get up and leave, then I've got another video coming up about bugging out. But right now this video is to cover you for staying at home, sort of hunkering down at home and weathering out the storm. So you've got your food storage sorted out, you've got your water sorted out, you've got your information printed out and ready to go. Now we need to talk about equipment. Now the whole point of this video is to get one very, very important message across. Doesn't matter how much equipment that you need, if you don't have it available to you at the time a crisis strikes, then there's a very high probability you're not going to be able to get hold of it. So I'm just going to quickly go over some of the things that are recommended that you have in stock in preparation for any kind of crisis or emergency situation. Torches. It's highly recommended. Torches with spare batteries. Personally, I don't like the old style of torch anymore, simply because they consume a lot of power, especially with the old incandescent light bulb. LED torches now are a lot more efficient. The batteries will last a lot longer, and if you can go one better and get a wind-up one, this is a wind-up torch, doesn't actually require any batteries whatsoever, then even better. Radio. If the power's gone out or there's some major emergencies going on, you're going to need to know what's going on. If you can, go for one that is a wind-up one like this one. Obviously you want spare batteries for your equipment. Now, some of the preparedness guide lists, they recommend candles. Personally, I don't recommend candles. I think they're a fire hazard. Another really good thing to have to hand is things like wet wipes. Now, if you find yourself in a health hazard situation, for example, a huge flu outbreak or a pandemic or something like that, then you cannot go wrong if you go get yourself a face mask. Now, very, very important, these will not be available to you if a pandemic breaks out, because everybody's going to want one, and the chances are they're going to be a lot harder to get hold of, so it's best to get them way before anything major happens. There is a certain type that you need to get, okay? This is if you're in England, it's an FFP3. P3s are pretty much the lowest you want to go. These are designed for organic vapours. You use them when you're using spray paints and things like that. Regular dust masks and surgical masks, things like that, no blooming good whatsoever. Forget about them. Get the proper equipment. Now, another useful thing is some sort of a cooking device. This is just a basic simple camp stove. Make sure you've got some spare fuel. You can get these in all sorts of shapes and sizes. One golden rule: do not use camp stoves inside the house. Now, talking of cooking food, obviously don't forget your tin openers. Another thing that is essential, especially if you're bugging in your home, is a fire extinguisher. Polythene bags. Okay, now we get on a kind of subject a lot of people are going to get squeamish about: sanitation. If you find that you suddenly have no sewage works working, if you suddenly find you can't flush your toilet or whatever, this is where polythene bags come in. Okay, you got to put your poop somewhere. Okay, basically this is actually very, very serious. Okay, back in the old days, more people died of dysentery than anything else because they didn't have proper hygiene and sanitation. If it's a temporary issue, then you're going to have to end up pooping in bags, sealing them up, and either putting them to somewhere, preferably in a dedicated bin that will seal, and then you can deal with them when the crisis is over. If it's a long-term crisis, then you're going to have to find a place to store them, or you're going to have to dig yourself a latrine. But I'll go over something like that in another video. If you take medications, make sure you have a good supply of them. Make sure that you're stocked up and they're up to date. Obviously keep your eye on the dates. You don't want medicines going out of date. If you've got babies or small children, don't forget to stock up on diapers or nappies and formula. Don't forget the family pet, Rover or Felix or whoever it happens to be. Make sure they've got plenty of food to keep them going too. Important documents, insurance documents, personal identifications, passports, things like that. Make sure they're kept together, seal them up. Preferably if you've got a vacuum sealer, put them in a vacuum sealed bag. Make sure they're safe, but sort of kind of keep them with you, because if ever you've got a bug out or whatever, you know where they are and you know that they're with you. The other thing, of course, is good old-fashioned cash. Make sure you've always got a little bit, at least a little bit of cash, preferably you know, a reasonable amount available to you. If in an emergency, you know, there may possibly be a run on cash. If the electric has gone, then the hole in the wall cash dispenser isn't going to be working. Okay, on top of that, there is the obvious, you know, don't forget your warm clothes. Make sure you got lots of your hats, gloves, warm jackets, good pair of shoes. If you happen to have to find yourself in a situation where you've got to get out of town, you want something that's going to be reliable on your feet, preferably well worn in. You know, walking boots obviously would be ideal. If not, then a really comfortable pair of shoes that are going to be able to take you out of town without giving you blisters. Forgot to mention, obviously if you're cooking food, you're going to need some matches, preferably waterproof matches. If you haven't got waterproof matches, what you can do is buy regular matches, not safety matches, because it doesn't work with safety matches. Get regular matches and dip them in hot wax and then take them out, and they will strike. They then become waterproof matches. Last but certainly not least is very, very important, and a lot of people tend to forget about it. If you're stuck at home and you're waiting something out, if you're waiting out a crisis, or you know, whatever it happens to be, you're going to need to occupy your mind. So make sure you've got plenty of games, you know, board games, card games. One of the handiest things you can have is a deck of cards. So that was the end of this video. This was just basically to touch on some basic equipment, but the absolute one thing that I have to stress in this video is once the crisis starts, you will not be able to get hold of this equipment, quite possibly. So it's really important that you get this stuff first. And not only that, in a crisis you're going to need this stuff. The last thing you want to be doing is trying to turn the garage upside down to find it. Okay, so have it to hand, get it organized, get it out there on the table, you know, make an inventory of it if you like, and then put it somewhere where you know where it is, and that way it's there whenever you need it. So I hope this video was useful to someone. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next episode.